Welcome back to the second quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show. We have 4 quarters now.
We're pros now.
Doing it a little bit differently. And I was mentioning Jared Couvillon and some of the people that he knew. He actually, if I'm not mistaken, taught at T.H. Harris Vocational School, and he knew Melba Chris.
Sure.
And couldn't remember Ashley, but I said if you worked there, you would remember Ashley, Melba's husband. And then Lalonde was the director at the time, and he remembers Tommy Janson, who was also an instructor there, and Tommy hails from Avoyelles Parish. Right. And another person that I've spoken about on the program several times recently is Tommy Matty. He owns the large truck stop and beautiful convenience store with the largest liquor selection anywhere within 50 miles of Simpsonport, Louisiana. And
I've been to his house for the St. Joseph's altar that they've had over there.
Okay, well, how about that? And his mama, of course, came in, and she too, a very, very nice person. So I really had a good time, I guess you could say. And then, do you need another sponsor?
Oh, I sure do. While you're finding your notes.
Wait a while. A couple of more names I need to mention.
Go ahead.
Jude Orman and Ray Bello came in, and they didn't just come with empty hands. You know those two. They brought food. They are excellent cooks, and we want to thank them, of course. And then Mr. Jerry Smith, who was Vicky's boss for many years, who recently retired, and Vicky moved up into that position of manager of that office, and his wife Rose, and Rose was Joe Lalonde's sister, and Joe Lalonde's wife was named Rose.
That's right.
So he couldn't do any wrong. As long as he said Rose while he was sleeping, he was talking about his sister and his wife. And then Randy Ducote, who is in Rapides Parish and immediate boss over Vicky, a real nice guy. I've been to his home and everything else. And Miss Corman Villemaret came over. She works with the parish health unit. And then Cassandra, of course, who is a fellow worker in the office with Vicky, and quite a character. She's one of those that was transplanted from Katrina, and she and all of her family moved to Marksville. Some of her family members had lived there years past.
They didn't live in Canadaville.
No. In fact, they live in Marksville, and she has purchased a home and everything else. So she's got her roots there, and I thanked her for not only the support she gives every day at work, but the moral support when Vicky was going through all these hard times with her father and having to work and worry about Mama getting to the hospital and everything like that.
LHC Group, all your home health care needs, they can help you with everything from those therapists that got to go to your house, the nurses, any of the equipment, the oxygen equipment, the lift chairs, the fancy beds. They can do all that stuff for you. They've got hospice and palliative care available as well for end-of-life type situations. Locations throughout the whole United States. They've got the Health and Wellness Center over here in Opelousas off of Heather Drive. If you want to stay in shape, keep working out, it's a good place to go. Louisiana Healthcare Group, all about helping people. And one more, let's go with Dixie Storage, all your storage needs, both personal and commercial. They've got climate controlled units, they got little bitty units, they got huge units, they got warehouses with loading docks, they've got stuff with railroad spur access for you as well that can help you out. They've got Dixie One Trucking that can help finish delivering loads for you, move some of your inventory between different warehouses that they can rent to you. They've also got A+ Glass, their sister company with locations in Lafayette and here in Opelousas. They can do all your glass from commercial and personal to your cars and inspections of little bitty cars all the way up to 18-wheelers.
Something that took place approximately, I heard them say 17 days. I didn't realize the Olympics had lasted quite that long, but it did last a long time. The opening ceremonies, even the Queen was dropped out of a helicopter, and they
with
really—
James Bond.
That's right. Put on a big show, but the closing act, well, let me give credit to all the athletes, whether you won a medal, whether it was gold, silver, or bronze, or you didn't win a medal, but you had the opportunity
well, you know
to
how many
represent.
people you had to beat just to get there. You had to be the best in your country.
In your country to be able to represent the country. And there's no losers, as I always talk about in politics. When you enter the political scene and you put your name up before your friends and the community, there are no losers, because America was born because of the democracy that we have today. We still can run for a position and can be elected with coming from a very modest family, and in what most cases, except for like judges and cases like that, no special educational backgrounds. Maybe we should have them, but we don't. we don't. I'm finished with that subject. But the Olympics were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We're going to be seeing some of these for a long time. I liked little Gabby. She was on Jay Leno last night. She's just cute as a bug. And I really like
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps, really, I like him now.
Came out of his shell.
Came out of the shell. He's just another human. For some reason, he didn't impress me until this particular time. And he's got blood running in his veins just like we do. He just has a lot more of it pumped because he can break those records, break his own records.
The U.S. lady track stars, I mean, they ran so much faster than everybody else. It was unreal to watch them run. I mean, I was very, very impressed. Our ladies basketball team, Sylvia Fowles and Simone Augustus, both from LSU, got their second gold medals. It's 2 Olympics in a row for them.
And the men's relays was something. Usain Bolt, now he's with
with Jamaica.
Jamaica. He's something else. I mean, and I like you might call it cocky, but they call him washed out.
If you want to make him stop being cocky, there's one way to do it. You got to beat him. If you want to talk, beat him, and then you can.
And they did. They beat him twice in a row. He got to the Olympics. His own training countryman, and they trained together. And the young fella beat him twice. But when the gold medal was on the line, he showed the world who he was. And I like him. I don't know. He just has a beautiful smile, and he speaks very well. They're well educated. I found that overall, I saw a lot more better speaking people.
I think the Olympics must work with them a lot more, because a lot of these guys, I mean, that's all they do is work in the gym all day. They don't have a chance like you and I to speak so elegantly in front of people. So I think what they do,
I hope nobody's listening to this part of the show. I hope y'all wouldn't get coffee.
They must work with them a little bit.
Yeah,
try to polish them. And one thing I liked about Usain Bolt, you didn't see much of it on television, but he says a prayer before he starts, and he says a prayer after he finishes each time. Now, they would not show it each time, but once or twice the cameraman slipped and you could see it. So I thought that was very nice.
Former schoolmates remember Rodney Milburn, and he was one of the fastest that ever ran the high hurdles.
110-meter high hurdles.
Yes, sir. And unfortunately, he had a tremendously bad ending to his life. He was on the job working, and he fell into an acid type vat that the company was working for created acids, and his body just got eaten up. But a lot of people remember him. I missed him. It was the time. I mean, I was in business and everything, but I guess I was doing so much hustling. And of course, I remember his name, and I remember some of the meets he had locally. Went to J.S. Clark, and Coach did a great job right here.
They wasn't putting no $1 million track out here in Opelousas for him to run on. They wasn't buying those fancy breakaway hurdles. He had the woodworking shop
and
at the school.
Fancy shoes, and they didn't have none of that.
And I mean, they just you had to go out and work, work.
Yes, sir. So anyhow, it's good that they do bring his name up each and every Olympic.
You want to hit a couple more obituaries?
Dr. Leon Lestraps. I can't say that I knew him, but I knew the name very well. To his family, our deepest of sympathy. Mr. Harold Robichaud, we did speak about his health, being in bad condition, and he did pass away. And he was age 82. I didn't realize that
as a kid,
Harold was that old.
He had the grocery store in Port Barron when I was a kid, so we'd walk down the block and go get candy and boudin for mama or whatever, you know.
And of course, and then let's see here. We have Miss Rena Marie Lalonde Woodson. Didn't know her, but I know the Woodson family. You know, Mac Legern's mama is a Woodson in this particular family. Mac, our carpenter.
My great grandmother Gitro was a Woodson.
Okay, there you go.
Her mama was a Woodson.
Yeah,
excuse me.
And she was a Lalonde, of course, and she would be kin to Malcolm Lalonde. I'm pretty sure. And then we have we had a lot of them. Miss Dottie Laverne, Floyd Laverne's wife. Dottie was raised as Floyd Senior. Right. As I remember, she was raised down on South Street, not too far from where I was raised. And of course, Floyd, her husband, was in the trucking business all of his life. Now T. Floyd has a mechanic shop and a towing service. Sure. And Dennis is his claim to fame is he owns the Dairy Queen on West Lander Street, right next to Dupree Carrier Gotcha
That's my
agency.
second biggest bill every month.
Oh boy, I tell you what. And he has really brought this little bitty store, little bitty ice cream stand with the drive-through that he
hadn't really changed the product. He just shined up how they do it.
How they do it, and Dennis, you've done a great job. And then of course our own little lady that we spoke about so many times, Megan Briley, one of the triplets. You might want to add just a little that
her
because
parents
you have a
are
son.
David and Angie Briley, and of course her siblings, Elaney Briley, and the two triplets, Macy and Morgan, and they all go to school. They're sophomores this year at Opelousas Catholic School. The funeral was today. You know, we're filming this on Tuesday evening, and just our sympathies to the family, the whole OC. It's just been a hard year for all of OC, but just with the Brileys, our sympathies to them. And then you and I saw also Ronald Burley.
Ronald Burley
passed away in an accident.
That was a very unusual type of accident.
He was on the side of the road. His truck had broke down. He was working on it, and two cars that were involved in an accident just ran off the road and got him.
And I think both of them might have hit him.
I think so. And of course, he's Miss Barbara Thibodeau. We always talk about Ken Thibodeau, all the projects he's got. We talked about the flags earlier. Miss Barbara's brother, which I didn't realize. Yeah. So our sympathies. He's done. Ronald's done cattle, driven trucks, been a
cattle man all his life.
Santa Gertrudis, I think, is what he used to farm. So
I'd see him around the Lewisburg area. They say Church Point. I think it's a Church Point mailing address, but I really believe that Lewisburg is where he actually lived. Then there was a young person, Alex Reed, from Bel Air Cove. We talked within the last year of the big fundraiser they have annually in Bel Air Cove for the church over there. And he was involved in Alec Reed was involved in an accident. A very young person, maybe age 19 years old, in a traffic accident.
And Miss Joyce Lee Swallow from Port Barron passed away, married to Bobby Swallow, who's alderman for years and all down in Port Barron. A lot of people know her. If you ever stopped at the Buckhorn for coffee there in Lottie, Miss Joyce was there for years. Our sympathies to the whole family.
And there was a person that worked there, and I don't know if they were talking about, maybe they were talking about her. The lady at the Buckhorn told me that her mother or grandmother watched the Bobby Dupree show every weekend.
There you
go. Could have well been that particular lady. Are we up?
We're up to the end again. We're going to take a 1-minute break. It's halftime of the Bobby Dupree show. We got to go in and get some coaching and come back out and shoot a lot more points the second half. We'll see y'all on the other side of 1 minute.